Retail payment markets have been developing rapidly throughout the last decade, which I'm sure we'll all be aware. The division between bricks and mortar and digital commerce no longer exists. Traditional businesses, only firmly in the physical domain, have now gone digital. While cash usage is down, contactless payments, of course, as we all know, have risen, and e-commerce payments are the way we do things every single day of our lives. With the advent of crypto economy, another element has been added to the payment ecosystem. In this next panel session, entitled Cash, Credit or Crypto, we discuss where the future of payments is headed. Please welcome to the stage for this session before lunch, Sadeq Abdulrasool, the CDO of MEES, Ramit Harisinghani, the GM of Chalhoub, also Saeed Habib, the head of e-commerce at Danube, Rushikesh Bhatt, the head of IT at EROS, and Loredana Matei, the founder of Finsight.News, who is going to be your moderator for this session. Thank you.
Okay, now it works. Nothing like a crypto conversation to work up an appetite, I think. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I am here with a panel of stellar people from the industry, and we are about to talk about some very interesting things. Before we get started, I'd like to let you guys introduce your expertise and what are you going to contribute about today.
Okay, I can go first. My name is Ramit. I'm the general manager for Devialet in Chalhoub Group. And prior to Devialet, I was working with HTC, the smartphone and virtual reality makeup. And I've been in the region for 15 years now. But the way I like to describe my career is not so much in time or the company names. It's actually seeing the evolution of technology, of smartphones, of Web 1, Web 2, now Web 3. And I know a lot of it is about Web 3 in the future. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Images Retail, to having me here. It's very nice to meet you. Thanks, Shruti. And looking forward to a constructive chat.
Thank you.
Thank you. I am Sadeq Abdulrasool from Bahrain, the Chief Digital Officer of MEES Middle East. I talk about e-commerce, digital, retail, and some food.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sayyed Habib. I represent a brand known as Danube. So you know everyone, Danube is one of the largest business conglomerate in Dubai. So where we have 3 divisions, Danube Properties, Danube Building Material, and Danube Home. I take care of the Danube Home business. So within the Danube Home, we are one-stop solution for the complete home need. And I take care of the e-commerce, franchisee, and the business development for Danube. And I've been with the company for the last 12 years and in this region for more than 15 years. And seen the whole journey, how the overall evolution has happened, and very lucky and excited to be part of this e-commerce journey, and looking forward for a nice event and talk today. And I thank in this opportunity to Retail Middle East for having me and being a part of this conversation. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rushikesh. I work for a consumer electronics company called as EROS Electricals. I have been with EROS Electricals for 13 years. We are primarily into consumer electronics, and we sell from appliances to televisions to mobiles, everything. Overall, I have seen the growth of this region in terms of technology over the period of 13 years, where when I came in, I think it was only one e-commerce company, Souk.com, which was prevalent over here, and now you can have multiple choice and multiple options.
Thank you so much for all this. As I said, a panel full of experience with with a lot of insights. So as we agreed, I think in a conversation that we had earlier, COVID has been the biggest accelerator in terms of new technologies being rapidly adopted and requested by the consumers across the board. This also helps the fact that GCC became very attractive for crypto millionaires, for companies that are employing blockchain as means for future adoption. And from Bahrain, and we've seen Binance being entering GCC area through Bahrain, basically, to ADGM, which is doing a fantastic job, and the IFC. We are right now on the verge of massive transformation, and the next question that we will hear at the checkout points will be cash, credit, or crypto. And I'm looking forward to that personally. So let's start at the beginning, and I'm going to address to the panel this question. What is currently the landscape of retail activities in the region? What is the evolution? What do you see as trends? And I'll start with you, right here next to my right.
Sure, happy to. And the idea, and like we discussed earlier, is to give you talk about trends and give you real insights, and that is going to be useful, that people can actually utilize. Even before I answer anything, I don't think it's going to be or. I don't believe in one versus the other. I don't think it's going to be online and offline or crypto or non-crypto. I think it's all going to coexist, in my opinion. In terms of trends, the way I'd like to answer your question is around talking about two different things. One is the evolution of retail, and one is obviously accelerated because of the pandemic in terms of the initiatives in e-com, but talk about that, one, and secondly, how in the same period you've seen a rise of value of digital assets, and not necessarily only NFTs, I mean, generally speaking. So coming to the first part, obviously the retail store has become really smart nowadays, and as you can see, mostly D2C brands are really innovating and have a very, let's say, advanced mechanism of collecting data. So it's not so much about only footfall and sales, it's gone beyond. There's behavioral analytics, there is impressions, discoveries. It's become a smart store. But what's exciting that has happened, in my opinion, in the last 2 years is the growth in e-com. It's not anymore, oh, I have a store and I have e-com. I think it's super integrated. And e-com itself has gone from text-based to 2D to 3D to augmented reality in some cases, if your company or your product allows that. And then you've seen trends like omni-channel, which you hear a lot. You buy in the store, you get it delivered, vice versa. So what has happened with all of this is the payments also need to be evolved. You can't have a traditional payment mechanism. So the payments have evolved, buy now, pay later, and I know my panelists are experienced in these areas. That's reduced cash on delivery sort of things, which is not only good for payments, but it's helped you in something which is fundamentally supply chain related. So there's been huge advancements on the retail space. On the virtual side of things, if you see the trends that are coming about in terms of ownership patterns of owning lands, owning virtual goods, owning digital goods, even Web 2 or Web 3 is remarkable. And if someone doesn't believe in it, I can just give you some numbers as an example. We were talking about this earlier. There are 55 million people who are on Roblox on a daily basis. Roblox is a gaming platform. Look it up. We were talking about a concert that Travis Scott had on Fortnite, and there were 27 million people who attended that concert live online, with digital avatars on a gaming platform. And then it's not just about numbers, it's about transactions. In the same period, Fortnite had, between 2018 and 2020, if I'm not wrong, $14 billion transacted on that platform. So you're looking at not just the retail side of things, but consumption is going beyond. And I feel like we as retailers and business owners need to account for it and plan for the future.
Absolutely, great points, and we'll get back to those data points once we reach the metaverse topic. And to add to that, I just read on The National today reported that 9 out of 10 young people in the UAE are gamers. So I think that says a lot about where we are going in terms of trends. Now, Sadeq, you're coming from Bahrain today. Thank you for joining us all the way from there. And I think you're coming with that GCC expertise. Tell us, how do you see the trends right now in terms of retail preferences and choices?
One fact that I will start about myself, I would love to be very realistic about what I see.
We love that.
I think about the trends, most of the trends are featured by some websites and journals such as Gartner's. But what I will talk about are the behaviors that people getting adopted for. We have all seen that the society, the people, the customers, they are moving from cash to cashless. Now from even card to cardless. So even with the feature of having the digital wallets, with having the virtual accounts, with the virtual balances, and right now, nowadays, the terminologies are so much. I have seen a lot. Okay, the point is to find the right behavior for your customers. Perhaps I have started, for example, one last experiment this year to use crypto payments within our systems. And guess what? For 6 months, there is not even a single transaction. Okay? Though that if you will go and read about how popular the cryptocurrency is getting there, I'm not against this. It's just our customers or my customers, they didn't have this behavior yet. So either I will take the rule by educating them, learning them, teaching them, getting all the resources that I will enlighten them about the cryptocurrency, how good it is or how you shall be aware of it, or I shall just be the service provider for them. So for me, it's more about the behavior and utilizing the data that you are having about your end users, your customers, your market, and we shouldn't forget also our partners and our vendors.
Thank you so much. We'll get back on the crypto conversation and adoption for that a bit later. How about you? What are some of the trends that you've seen recently?
You know, as we already spoke about it, a lot of things has been accelerated in the last 2 years. But the key thing, if you will see that earlier, the payment method used to be considered as a cost for the business. Like whether you use a credit card, you think that, you know, I need to pay certain percentage of money to the middleman or the middle bankers or the network where you pay for that. But today, if you'll realize, it is no more a cost, rather it is a business enabler. It enables the business to make the whole journey of the customer much more very, very seamless and much more easier. So payment method is no more something which handles the business, rather it is an enabler for the business that how you can function it properly. So the ultimate aim here is that how do we give a seamless experience to the customer, and where customer can go through the entire journey and each and every point without any hassle, and customer should have the liberty to use any of the payment method, whatever you want, and so that he can go through it. Now, if you will see, largely they're giving some data out there, like if I'll talk about our business, earlier if you will see in the e-commerce line, your 65 to 70% of business used to happen cash on delivery, where customer, they don't understand and they feel that, okay, I will place the order and I will bring it and do that. But there is a huge change in the shift in the customer's buying behavior, where they started believing in the entire ecosystem. If I will give you data right now, our 85% of transactions are happening through the credit card only. Where the people, they know that if the transaction goes through wrong, they can get the refund easily, and they can have the whole deciding factor also that how they want to take it forward. Now coming back to the new trends, how it's working in terms of payment front, one of the most important thing today is the buy now, pay later, where you have a multiple options. Earlier, like, you know, if you will go back 5 years before, 2, 3 years before, you want to go to a shop and you want to buy, like my friend is from EROS Electronics, you go there, you want to buy something, they'll say, okay, take the invoice, call the call center of the bank, and you convert it into 6 EMIs. But today it is not only the banking, you have a multiple fintech companies where you can convert on the same point of time without using your credit score or without using the credit limit, whatever you have. Beside that, you do have a digital wallet where you can use any platform where you can take it from there. So summarizing it, that the whole industry, and we are blessed to be in this part of the world where you got the highest internet penetration across, and the people's buying behavior is much more positivity. And we have a huge number of technological interfaces are available. So the overall, there's a huge revolution in the payment. I can say that all the effort is being accelerated. What was supposed to happen in 25, 26, it has happened in the last 2 years. So this is what my take is about.
Thank you so much. Rushikesh, how is the take from, big electronics perspective?
So from an electronics perspective, or whatever everyone has shared, there are two important aspects when it comes to a customer. It is comfort and convenience. So if you have that experience very seamless in terms of giving the customer the comfort in terms of adopting to any of the ways of payment which is available today. See, technology today is only an enabler. Okay, it's always available. There are so many options available in the market. But it's the overall journey and the customer experience, whether it is in-store or whether it is on your online platform, or you have a blended approach to it, is something where you have a scoring point over everybody else. So that is where this entire technology or the different options available would come into picture. So your customer experience is the most important aspect when you have all of these embedded together.
So we've mentioned buy now, pay later. Let's dive right into the topic here. Definitely the rise of buy now, pay later has become a massive tool for inclusivity for those that have been left out by the usual credit score. So in terms of consumers, it's a good day. But how about retailers? And I'll start with you, Rushikesh. I know that you have some experience there in that aspect, and I'd like you to kind of share the perspective from the retailer point of view, and how is that playing into your gain as business?
So when it comes to buy now, pay later, or when it comes to installments, okay, it is actually a customer's delight. Today, the purchasing aspirations of a customer might be for a product which he may not be able to afford at the moment. He may only have an X amount of money to purchase that product, but he always aspires to get maybe 3X value of the product. So with buy now, pay later or installments, what you're doing is, you are not hurting his investment or his capital which is there. You're making it more into an OPEX model where he pays in installments, and the fee or the transaction is also not very heavy where it pinches him back. So that really helps in terms of conversions from a business point of view as well. When you look at it, any option, your overall transaction value, purchase value per invoice also increases from X to 3X, which obviously adds to your sales turnover over a period of time. For the banks as well, as and when the more number of transactions happen, the transaction fees which they charge is also going to help them in terms of achieving all the respective sales turnovers that is required. So overall, from a overall perspective, I think whether it is installments to credit cards, whether it is through other fintech companies who are offering these offerings like Postpay or Tabby or Spotty, it's a great proposition for the customer, and it becomes a win-win for both the consumer as well as the supplier, both of them.
So it's a win-win situation, and that helps a lot the retail landscape. That's a good news for the fintech startups working in this area. I think it's a massive tool for inclusivity, and at the same time helps. Just a side question here. Who would you say that is more prone to use buy now, pay later solutions in terms of consumer segment?
I think it will be across all the income stratas. I wouldn't classify it into, say today, at an income strata which is at the middle, if they aspire to buy something which is not affordable to them, they can always have an option to buy now, pay later. Or maybe at a higher income strata as well, if I aspire to buy something which is a luxury or a value good, then as well I have that option if I don't want to invest it together. So I believe this option is available to everybody, and it will help all the customers. I wouldn't segment into a particular customer range or income strata.
Excellent. So that's one payment experience that we have access to. Now, the question is, we had cashless payments, now we have cardless payments. What's next?
of course, if you will see the overall journey of the consumer, I do remember, a few years before I was in Africa and we opened a store and, generally the currency value is a little lesser. So if you want to sell a sofa, the customer's coming with a backpack of the cash, like if your machine was not working. And then we have seen the journey, how it has moved up, and then you have the credit card. But if you will see the problem of the card, then we move from the cash to the card. There's a lot of problem in the card as well. So I do remember those days, like, you have, say, couple of $1,000 as a limit of your card, and after that also a couple of thousand dirham, and then your cards, move away, or like, limit is the over limit, then again you call the bank and you work out on that. Or if you are traveling somewhere in the Moscow and you reach and you swap your card and you get a call from your bank saying that, are you there? And there is some transaction is out there, So there was a law, and plus, you have a CVC code and you have your online authentication and the multiple stuffs are going on. But today, if you will see that the kind of technological revolution we have seen, so there is a huge transformation has happened in the fintech and the payment thing. The way I look at it is, there will be a time that there won't be no more any plastic anymore. And the biometric can be worked in a much, much, much stronger way. Today, we all are privileged to be in this city in Dubai where you move out from the country and get in without the passport or without your, So there could be a situation that you can have only one card of Emirates ID and which can use for all of the payment. And there could be, that you have your thumb impression or your fingerprint or your eye scanning, which can connect it to your payment. There could be a system where you have a completely open banking, so where, based on your financial credibility, where you can do all the purchases. And if you will see today, there's a lot of development is happening in all this angle, and we are seeing the few things right now. And I'm sure that a lot of other fintech companies are working on that. So it is just a matter of time that where we'll see a much more bigger, brighter, and more convenience thing that how we can use it. So that's what I look at it.
Absolutely, the future is here, and we've seen that technological innovations really are mitigating some of the convenience problems that we had in the past, along with the problem that pertains to fraud and preservation of data, identity, KYC, and so much more. Which takes me to my next topic, the topic of blockchain, and how do we actually see blockchain playing into the retail industry? We've seen blockchain being adopted widely across a number of industries. Ramit, I'll play this question to you. Where is blockchain located right now in the minds of retailers?
Excellent question. But before I jump right into blockchain,
sure.
And while I was listening to the gentleman here, a couple of things that came to my mind, which might seem obvious, but then it came to my mind were, one is, I think a lot of the things that we're doing as businesses, and is because after a point we don't have a choice but to go with what the customer wants. If a customer decides to shop online, we go online. If she decides to buy cardless, we go cardless. If she decides to go blockchain, we do that. And I feel like end of the day, I don't think it's so much about businesses adopting new technologies. It's almost reacting for the most part to what the customer wants and how you can delight the customer at every single step. That is one. The second thing that came to my mind was a lot of these things are actually evolution of internet, if you think about it. If you didn't have internet or strong in internet, you couldn't do any of these things that we're talking about. And it's a beauty of jumping from 2G, and I've been there, by the way, 2G and all, really slow connections to 3 to 4 and now 5, and we're lucky to be here where there's 5G everywhere, right? And I think because of that, the advanced usage of that in cloud computing, edge computing, this is going to be limitless. So I feel internet is huge. But coming to blockchain and jumping right to it, one myth that I want to get away from right now is blockchain is not equal to cryptocurrency and trading in cryptocurrency. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about technology right now, blockchain.
Thank you. I think that's the biggest myth surrounding blockchain these days.
It's fine. I'll tell you why, because there aren't enough use cases. You mentioned that you had it, and I think for the most part, someone won't try it because you don't want to try something as a consumer that you don't know anything about, right? So I think with time, it's going to be mainstream. But blockchain is basically a very simplistic way of looking at it. It's a digital ledger that is distributed and duplicated on computers around the world. As simple as that. The old ledger, it's literally that. And I feel that makes it a bit more secure, and it's not easy to hack it. as a technology. But if you want to talk about blockchain and some of the things that we spoke about earlier around virtual goods, I started looking at this and reading a lot about it and realized that money is in different forms. And there are 5 different ways of money or how you can interpret money today. One is fiat currencies, like USDs, dirhams, which is what we're used to, which I don't need to explain. Something that is becoming very popular is digital forms of those currencies, which are, again, centrally controlled, bank controlled and regulated, like e-Naira is another one, which is something we know. But now if you look at it, crypto, then Bitcoin became a currency of its own, utilized to buy virtual goods, NFTs and things like that. And this was very surprising for me to realize, gaming platforms have their own currency. Like Roblox has something called Robux. There's Minecraft. This is actually money. People are transacting with it in that environment. And then you have stable blockchain-based currencies like USDT, which are more platform-centric. So if I look at all of this, again, money is not only what we used to. In terms of ownership patterns, in terms of evolving ownership patterns, money is going to be utilized in different platforms depending on what it's used for. And I feel blockchain is what is powering Web3. And just to explain what is Web3 is the future of internet. We are living in Web2. Web3 is future where it's going to be backed by decentralization and ownership, which is provided by blockchain. So I feel a long answer to your question, but I feel blockchain is going to be a very core part of the future of consumption, and especially when it comes to owning and distributing virtual goods.
Absolutely. Is the layer on which we can actually build all these applications and really reimagine the way that we use data, the way that we use all sorts of logistics, but of course the way that we see value. So to add to what you just said, I think we no longer look at money as the only form of value. We have added value in a lot of other things, and we want to be able to use it. And Sadeq, you were mentioning your experience with adding crypto to your, as an option for your consumers. So I'd like to hear from you on that, and then Ramit, I'll take it back to you for crypto use cases, because I think this is very, very important. We all heard about crypto these days. We all have some sort of idea or preconceived idea about what crypto is. But it's very important to see how the use cases are playing in the market as we speak, how are they being adopted, and how do we play out the success on this?
Okay, well, for me, myself, since I am into technology, into digital, so I took the risk, like from years ago, to experiment, to invest into cryptocurrency. It worked and it failed, which like any other assets that you will work on. At certain time, as we are in Bahrain, usually all the Gulf countries, they are considering Bahrain like a sandbox for experiments for many reasons. Small geographical area, the regulations, we can tolerate having small experiments and so. So I have decided with the board members that what if being a pioneer, having some nice billboard behind us or a mega board with some PR statements and so, and let's experiment cryptocurrency. What is the biggest challenge or risk that we will have? The customers, they will conduct the transactions at their own risk, if it was a risk. So, though that the cryptocurrency, it is quite volatile, up and down, the only risk that I was about to tolerate, for example, if someone he have shared with us, let's assume 100 Ripples coins, or I hope I say Bitcoin, let's say 1/4 of Bitcoin. Today it's like $55,000, but nowadays it's $20,000. So my risk was losing the value of the coin itself, or losing the value of the cryptocurrency itself. But as an experiment, you was expecting some kind of such risk. So the thing is, as I stated earlier, our customers, as we are mainly into high value items, large appliances, fashion, cosmetics, a bit branded, they weren't ready to experiment. Though that we had all those shootouts and so, but sometimes even not only shootouts, but to motivate and encourage them, pay using cryptocurrency and get like 5% or 10% discount. Let's see how it works. Let's see how it goes and so. But the thing is, as Rohit said, perhaps right now till date, what I have seen across different platforms worldwide, there's a real applications usage for blockchain, digital ledger. I'm working with myself, with my departments, with my partners. Here in Dubai, you have the DIEZ, Dubai Integrated Economic Zone. It is based on blockchain. They are enabling that we are transferring transactions, data, information between each other, quite transparent, protected, and so. But cryptocurrency, I'm very conservative to say that, but cryptocurrency till date, perhaps the main application for it is not taking place instead of the fiat currencies till date.
I understand. Okay, let's hear a use case, a successful one.
Sure, and I'm very conscious about the fact that a lot of people, and I agree with you, like if someone who's lost money probably trading will feel very differently. But I'm not even talking about crypto trading right now.
That's a conversation that will take
let's not
a
even
long
go
time.
There, yeah. But what I'm talking about, and I was very young when the internet came around, you know. Actually, I'm just fooling myself by saying I was very young.
You're a millennial, right?
I was younger.
Okay, so you are a millennial. You are exactly at the beginning of the internet revolution.
Let's not guess my age. But I was at a time where I'd interact with the internet firsthand. And if you remember, back then, there were many companies exactly sitting and talking like this in amazing platforms like the one we are at today, talking about, is internet the future? And let's be honest, it was not as obvious as it is today that everybody needs to be online. So it's a very similar manner, obviously different technology, different use cases. And I feel like there are some pioneers who are leading and doing things. And a couple of examples I want to give are more mainstream that you would know of. Starbucks, as an example, started accepting crypto, but very differently. You can't go to a Starbucks in US and say, I want a, I don't know, cappuccino, and here's my Bitcoin. It is more integrated with their app. Where
That'll be a very expensive cup of Starbucks.
Yes, now less expensive. But the way to use it is to upload it on the app and then use the app for transaction. Whole Foods are partnered with a startup that is backed by Gemini. I don't know if you know the digital platform backed by the Winklevoss twins. So they partnered with them, and their existing POS had the ability of scanning that, and immediate conversion from the cryptocurrency to dollars is way of doing it. So these are two different use cases. But a more recent one is by Gucci, where they're going to be using crypto in US stores, select US stores, where it will be very simple. An email will go out with a QR code, and the user can just scan and connect to digital wallet and transact. So it's coming to life. It goes back to my original point. If there are enough people transacting or owning cryptocurrencies, then I don't think any brand will have a choice but not to go there.
Absolutely right. And I think we are actually, the retailers are actually standing between the big talk in terms of technology and the adoption by the masses. I think we're running out of time, so I'll wrap up the conversation with one more thought in terms from each one of you. What do you think is going to be the next big thing in terms of payments in retail? And I'll start with you.
I think when it comes to retail, of course, we see that a lot of disruption is happening from the fintech companies, where you have different payment mechanisms which are available. Plus, combining this with what my friend just mentioned about, cashless transactions is something which we are expecting to happen. And of course, clubbing that with how, I don't know how the evolution of crypto would be in the next 2 to 3 years, but definitely, crypto would be added to the overall future of payments. Thank you so much. Syed?
Yeah, I strongly feel that the way world is evolving, there are going to be a very interesting time in coming days. And the payment, the entire industry, as I said earlier, it is no more a cost, it's an enabler for the business. So there is a huge opportunity for the overall evolvement. So my take on this is something like this, majority of the organizations are today you have two kind of company. One is a technology-led company and as a technology-enabled company. So our majority of our companies are that we are a pure trading company, retail company, so we cannot be a technology company that we go and develop. Now, as he was giving example of Starbucks, just I encountered this conversation, like where Binance is coming with a tie-up with a different kind of payment gateway, that today if you have a, say today you have 2 Bitcoins which cost $40,000, so at the same time you can do the transaction through the Binance app where it converted into the real-time currency value and you take the money from there. So, and in terms of the blockchain as well, you have the multiple technologies. So I feel that in the next 2 to 3 years or 4 years, there are a lot of technological fintech company will come and who will take the advantage of the technology in terms of making the simplifying the life of consumers and life of the retailer, and then retailers use those technology to pass on the benefit to the consumer, and where we can have much more seamless and even much more easier way for all the stakeholders.
Thank you so much.
Well, as right now countries, authorities, officials are getting a bit obsessed about the data collection, the data breach and so they are featuring a lot of the eKYC for the customers. In Bahrain, we can conduct the payments just by using your mobile number, by having a system called the benefit. And right now, this benefit is not even linked by your account, but you can establish your own wallet inside this application. So just imagine that you are thinking to someone, this is my number, just send for me some cash and so. So what I believe is similar for what Amazon, they have started years ago, which is Amazon Go, which just by recognizing you, by having your own account, by having a proper sufficient funds that you can conduct payments and transactions, I call it identity or you as a payment method.
That's a dystopian future right there. I'll end with you.
I agree with everything they're saying, so I won't repeat anything, but all I'll say is I believe in the next decade or so, you'll see a very, very conscious shift, very, very deliberate shift in reducing the gap between physical and digital, I think, and that's going to impact wealth, socialization, every entertainment. And I feel like if you talk specifically about payments and commerce, I feel there'll be so many multiple business models that are going to come about. I personally believe this is the most exciting time we are in. Like, it's so exciting, I can't even tell you. And I feel in the future, you're going to be not selling physical goods only, which we are today, you'll be selling virtual goods. And then you'll see the payment mechanisms evolve to another level. And my last point here is, I know sometimes it's very difficult to imagine all this, but whether you like it or not, my only request is don't ignore it, because it's very real and it's happening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And a nice way to end it. We are definitely in one of the most exciting times. Thank you for your time today, for your insights. Let's continue the conversation online. That's for sure. There is so much more to contribute. Thank you so much.
Thank you.